Welcome to Curious Truth. My name is Kim. I am your host. Today we are talking about the eye drop killer. This case was about a woman who was greedy. She didn't care what the outcome might possibly be. She cared about herself. To start, I want to talk about the victim. Lynn was a wonderful, friendly person, from what her friends said. She would do anything she could for anyone. She had longtime friends that liked spending time with her and loved her. She was a hairdresser for a long time. She loved to cook and loved to shop at thrift stores. She didn't have children of her own, but took one of her friends' child under her wing and loved him as if he was her own. His name was Anthony. She had a friend named Jennifer who helped her out from time to time when Lynn started having some medical problems. It came to a point that at one time Jennifer was no longer able to help Lynn, so Jennifer introduced her daughter to Lynn. Jessie then started helping her. Little did Lynn know that Jessie would be the devil in disguise. Jessie started helping Lynn in 2016. Now, back in 2014, Lynn lost her parents. She would receive an inheritance from them, a sum of $250,000. For 2 years, from 2014 until 2016, the money she had inherited stayed in the bank. Lynn was very responsible when it came to her finances. She didn't spend a lot of money because she didn't have it before her inheritance, and didn't spend a lot of money after her inheritance. Lynn bought only two things, a condo and a Jeep. These were her biggest purchases. Her credit score was almost 800. Lynn did not use the internet. She did not have a cell phone. She did not have an email address. Lynn was in and out of the hospital and was on medication, but they were not life-altering conditions. The medical conditions would not cause her to die. But on October 3rd, 2018, Lynn would be found dead at 6:35 p.m. in her living room, sitting on a recliner. Pills had been crushed up and were on her chest and on her nose. A couple of pills were found in her mouth. She had just gotten out of the hospital a week before. Jessie said that morning she went over to Lynn's house, and around 10 a.m. she left to go shopping and do some errands. She returned back to Lynn's condo around 5 p.m. Jessie called 911 and reported that her friend had committed suicide. When the medical examiner's assistant arrived, she saw Lynn in this state. She also noticed that all Lynn's medications were out on a bedside table, and a few bottles were beside Lynn on a table in the living room. She also noticed some files that were leaned up against the wall, and one page was pulled out, Lynn's will. The medical examiner assistant also noticed in Lynn's bedroom was a safety box that was opened, and it also had a copy of her will inside it. Jessie told her that the night before, she couldn't get Lynn to take her medication or eat anything. On November 2018, the toxicology report came back to the medical examiner's office. She found something on the report that seemed odd and disturbed her. She sent out second samples to be checked. 11 months later, the medical examiner received the second toxicology report back. And the new toxicology report said the same. There was very high doses of tetrahydrazine in her blood. The medical examiner ruled her death as a homicide. On September 27, 2019, the medical examiner sent out a letter of her findings to whom it may concern for the purpose of the estate. Tetrahydrazine it's found in Visine and nasal sprays. It can lead to toxic blood levels if ingested. The symptoms of tetrahydrazine is drowsiness, slow breathing or absence of breathing, slow heartbeat, hypothermia, and possible coma, then death. Until the medical examiner, almost a year later, signed off on the death certificate, things were at a standstill with Lynn's estate. Jessie got impatient, waiting on the cause of death, and would call the medical examiner all the time. She would also call law enforcement and even stop by to ask if they knew anything about the cause of death. Jessie had been so adamant about finding out that it rose suspicion from law enforcement. On October 3rd, 2019, law enforcement talked to Jessie. She would change her story many times. Jessie started out by telling the police that she lived with her boyfriend from 2016 to 2019, which was true, but the rest would be lies, built on lies. It is believed that when Jessie started working for Lynn in 2016, she started poisoning her with Visine, putting drops in her vodka and in her water. This is about the time Lynn started having stomach problems. In 2019, police went to Jessie's and her boyfriend's home and searched it. They arrested Jessie on this day. Her boyfriend was in shock. He didn't know what was going on. Jessie's boyfriend stated in court that the first 6 months after she had moved in, she didn't work. She would spend money like crazy, but he wasn't aware or even asked her where the money was coming from. He said she would spend $200 to $300 on food at the casino and feed everyone. She would take out of the ATM or cash checks for $3,000 at a time at the casino to play with. The only time he said he saw what kind of money she had was when they won a jackpot of $70,000 and they split that. She spent lavishly for his children during the holidays. He said the only thing he saw were some credit card applications that came to the house, but that was all. His money was his money and her money was hers. They would buy gifts for each other, but not share bank accounts. Jessie would get up in the morning and get dressed to go to work at a dental clinic. After a while, her boyfriend's cousin became suspicious of her and asked her about her job. She confessed to him that she didn't have one. She told her boyfriend's daughter at one point that she had a very good friend that would give her money all the time. Before Lynn passed, Jessie would tell her boyfriend that she would have to go sign papers at the hospital for Lynn. Jessie never allowed her boyfriend to meet Lynn. She told her boyfriend the day Lynn passed was because of the illnesses Lynn had and that she was the power of attorney over Lynn's estate. Right after Lynn passed on October 3rd, 2018, Jessie started giving away Lynn's things to family and friends. Lynn's Jeep was signed over to Jessie's mom 2 days before Lynn died. While in jail, awaiting for trial, Jessie told a cellmate that Lynn had died from taking too much of her medications. She was in charge of her estate, power of attorney, and had full access to all of Lynn's accounts. She said she had permission to write checks out of Lynn's account. Jessie told her cellmate that Lynn paid for her to redecorate her boyfriend's home. She also bragged about why she was in jail and how good she was at forging documents. Jessie offered to forge paperwork and a new identity to this cellmate. During Jessie's trial, Anthony testified and told the court of all the havoc Jessie had done. She claimed that Lynn had went through the $50,000 that was in the safety box before she died. She told him that it would be better that they sell all the jewelry and split the money. At one point, Anthony did sign a document stating that Jessie was the power of attorney of Lynn's estate. He felt that she knew how to handle all that needed to be done, so he was going to let her take care of it. When it came to finalizing the estate, Anthony asked Jessie for receipts. She gave him 52 pages, receipts from credit cards, bank statements, loans, condo improvements. When Anthony looked through these pages, he felt something wasn't right. Lynn wasn't like this, to have all these loans, credit card debts. Anthony hired an estate attorney to help him figure it out. After Anthony's attorney looked through everything, they petitioned to have Jessie removed from the estate as a personal representative. On 10/23/19, Anthony became the personal representative for Lynn's estate. Anthony went on to say at trial that he would spend a lot of time with Lynn, and she never said anything about committing suicide, that they were making plans for the future holidays. He said the last time that he had saw Lynn alive was a month before she died. It came out at trial that 3 months before her death, Lynn's credit score was at 600. Within 2 years, it went from 800 to 600. And in 2018, all her accounts were at zero. A lot of proof from the state showed money taken out of Lynn's account going into Jessie's account. Dates on invoices didn't match up with the checks that had been written. Jessie had looked up on Google criminal poisoning and household poisoning. The courts also showed that Jennifer's signature were also on some documents. While sitting in jail waiting for trial, Jesse sent a handwritten second will to Anthony and the state court, but it was denied because it was not properly petitioned. Jesse and her mom both signed as witnesses and was named in the will as beneficiaries. That cannot be done. A lot of things came out in trial about Jesse. She had been in and out of prison since 2010 for stealing people's identity. While waiting for her sentencing day in court, Jesse tried to send another will to the courts, and she also sent letters to the sentencing judge stating all kinds of things about not getting a fair trial. She also sent letters out to friends asking them if they would help her forge documents saying she was innocent. Her trial attorneys withdrew from her case 2 days before her sentencing. Jesse was sentenced to 40 years to life with the possibility for parole. The judge also set up an escrow account so that any money that Jesse were to make from TV shows, interviews, books, etc. will go into the escrow account to put back into Lynn's estate from which she had taken from. Do you think that she will ever learn her lesson? Do you think while in prison, serving her 40 years, she will find more people to scam? Leave a comment below. Thank you for watching Curious Truth. See you on the next one.